Hey, it's Biddy Penny. I'm here with another card making tutorial. This time I'm using all scraps from my desk, and I was definitely inspired by Maremi Small Art, and her cards, oh my gosh, she does them so fast and they always just seem so beautiful, and she uses so many layers. And it's funny because a lot of times I would stop halfway from where she goes with it, but the results are always gorgeous. And even if you stopped halfway, it would still be gorgeous. I just love her style. So if you haven't checked her out, you got to check out Maremi. So this is all paper that was on my desk. I was cleaning it up this morning because I might actually get to craft today. And I decided I would try to put it to work. So this is something I do from time to time because these are all pretty large pieces of paper that are my scraps or leftovers. I'm not inclined to just throw these in the trash, right? And I should put them back with the paper pads, but I just get to working on one project and then I get inspired to work on another, and that never happens. So I just have a pile of scraps here, a pile of scraps there, and this is all true life. So here I'm just kind of working with my papers, and I had this big piece of cardstock, and so I decided to go ahead and make that my card base and do a 5.5 by 5.5 card, something different, again inspired by Maremi. So here I am using the straight edge of my paper trimmer to get a nice crease on my card fold, and a bone folder to crease it even more. All right, so I'm pretty sure I have the paper I want to work with, and I have my card paste going on. So now I'm just going to start playing with the paper layering. This is something really fun. I don't do it as often as I would like to. I probably will start doing it more often. But just layering paper one on top of the other, mixing patterns and prints. This is definitely best when you have paper all from one pad, or you're using neutrals, even if that's like book pages or whatever. And then so these are from different paper pads, but I just lucked out. They were on my desk and they all kind of went together. I did pull this here from my junk journal scrap box because I have one of those too, and I'm bringing in some of this book page because I consider that a neutral, and then I wanted to bring in a bit more of a neutral since I had a lot of different patterns going on. And so this is something that even a beginner card maker could do. You could even pull things from magazines or, children's books. You could printables from Etsy is something I love doing. There's so many talented artists on Etsy. And for $1 or $2, you could get an entire paper pack that you print the pages you like the most. I think that's a really responsible and environmentally responsible thing to do. And I'm a big supporter of it. So that's another option if you are a beginner and you haven't charged up your credit cards like a mad woman to get all these supplies, then try printables. It's something I wish I would do more of. So this tag was from a paper pad, and I just cut off the corners, I punched a hole in the middle, and then I had this scrapped sari silk, and I am going to attach it with my tiny attacher. And I like this because it keeps it from being too bulky when you mail it. Like if I had tried to tie that in a knot, for one thing, it's a short thread, but also it creates that knot, which makes it more bulky when mailing it. Okay, so I've kind of decided I know how I want my paper layers. I'm actually going to have a bit of a border because that's just me, that's my style. And I am just trimming up some of these papers so that they're all the same length so I can create that border. And I'm trying to keep my paper arrangement together somewhat, as much as I can, as I get the underneath parts glued down. I am using just a standard Eileen's tacky glue here, and I do add a little bit of water, not much, but just a little to make it more fluid. But I just find it holds great. It does, you know, sometimes show through the paper depending on your papers, but it's just what I've been using of recent. I found art glitter glue did the same thing, but it costs so much more. And art glitter glue, I have a problem with it browning, turning brown. The needles are always getting rusted, and so I just find so much frustration with that glue if I keep it in its typical bottle, that I was running out, I was running low, and I got this, and I've just kind of been working with it ever since. And the world has not ended. It just keeps going. So it's all good. All right, so I'm laying down all these layers. And, you know, like this one you can tell was even had the hole punched from the paper pad. That never bothers me because I always know I can cover it up. And that's what I'm strategically doing with this piece of paper. And I'm just putting this all together. I'm going to make a couple more of these. I don't know if I'll make them separate videos or maybe I'll do kind of a session, but I want to do some more 5.5 cards. And these fit great in a 6x6 envelope. And I just kind of want to keep going with this. I want to keep making a bunch of layers and really piling it up. I want to bring in some fabric, and I do want to do more mixed media with, you know, like gesso and different things. So you'll definitely be seeing that on my channel in time. All right, so things are coming together here, and I wanted to pop this up, and I knew I wanted to do that, and decided to bring in some ribbon for extra texture. So this is just a really simple white ribbon, and I'm gonna bring that in, attach it to the tag, and then I'm gonna put foam all around the back side. And I'm gonna leave an opening so that I can tuck something behind the tag. And this is probably very much like a junk journal kind of thing to do. And I find that ever since I started junk journaling, the techniques, you know, kind of blend into my card making. And this would be one example of that. But it just adds something extra, a surprise. So you can see here I'm creating a border with my foam tape, which is going to allow me to have that pocket. So put that down, and then I'm going to turn this sideways to kind of gauge how big the little card should be that I'm going to insert into that pocket. First I have to find some paper, and I decide to use a flowered pattern paper that brings in kind of more of that pink and those soft tones. You could be more precise in this. I was just strictly going with the flow. You'll see I did have to trim this down a couple of times to get it kind of right where I wanted it. Like that was too long. It was covering up that yellow flower, and yellow happens to be my favorite color, plus it matches the tag, so I really didn't want to cover that up. So I cut it down to make it shorter, and then I remembered I had a couple of like boho these tabs, and so I I decided to put one of those on the little card, and I really went back and forth where my placement on it, which you'll see me trying to figure out where exactly I wanted to put it, and then I just decided to do it the way that I liked it, and then who knows how it would get turned by the time the recipient got it, so it doesn't really matter. But I try it behind it, try it in front of it, and then I just decide to attach it. Again, one more trim down. Nothing here was measured. I didn't have any measurements other than the card base. Everything else is strictly paper collaging. So really, again, this is something anybody can do, and with minimal supplies, because as you saw, I tore the book page. You could tear the book page, you could tear all the paper and not have to even have like a paper trimmer necessarily or anything like that. Okay, so now moving to the inside, and this piece of paper is a real lightweight, just like a copy paper, but it's a tan color. And this one is wrinkled because it's been on my desk for too long or in a scrap box for too long. But that really didn't bother me either. I don't mind the texture of that. It gives it something different, right? So I decided to go for it. I'm going to use it. Plus, things are going to be layered on top of it, so it's all going to be okay. I bring back in a little bit of that book page. I have the splatter paper I'd made, and this is coming together pretty quickly. Now, again, this is kind of a junk journal technique, but I created like a little bit of a belly band there, which is going to hold that white paper in. Everything else is going to be glued down, but that white paper will be something that they can pull out and write on. They could write front and back. They could glue a picture to it, whatever, and slip it back in that belly band, which is kind of just unique and different, something you don't expect from a greeting card. And this wasn't pre-planned. It just came to me as I was working with the inside layout. This is all extremely organic, but I may have to revisit it. I case my own cards sometimes. So I'm going to just glue the very edges of that belly band so that I know I have enough space still for that's a 4 1/4, or that's a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of paper. So that's it. There's my card. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole process and the results, and I hope you did too. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I got to put my Handmade by Bitty Penny on there, and I'll have a little something here at the end for you. All right, have a very blessed day, and please come back and visit me, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.